I'm just going to give you an update on the Basso Palta 2, which I've ridden now for roughly about 500 miles. And I've decided to sell it. And you'll be maybe thinking, why have you seen the first video? Because I was raving about it. Let's start with the positives. This is an amazing bike. It's super racy. When you hit the tarmac on this thing, it just flies along. When you're on the drops, it feels amazing. The comfort of it is super comfortable. It soaks up those buzz. A lot of people say it's the tyres, but you know, these tyres have been on the previous bike, which was a titanium bike, and this just soaks. It just soaks up that buzz when you're on gravel. It's like a magic carpet when you're on tarmac. It's a phenomenal riding bike, and it's a thing of beauties. But you know, I've decided it's not for me, and I'm selling it. And if it's so good, why am I selling it? I think, you know, the main reason is the bike I had previously was a titanium with traditional kind of tubing, and my current road bike is this bike here, which is an S-Works Aethos. And if we look at the top tube on the S-Works Aethos, it's paper thin. Now if we look at the top tube on that, I mean it's chunky, it's massive. It really is massive. If you look at the head tube, I mean look at the size of the head tube. I mean I can't get my hand around it. And then if you look at the size of the head tube on the Aethos, and you know, at the end of the day, the Aethos is just, it's a bike I love. It's a bike I never thought I would own. It's a bike, I'm not making this a review about the Aethos. It's a bike I thought I'll never get, but I just couldn't. All these modern bikes, this square crap with the proprietary stems and handlebars and seat posts, and I couldn't, in all that junk, I couldn't find something that I really liked. And then along came the Aethos, which was a bike I loved to hate because it just wasn't modern. But when I realised that my favourite bike of all time was the Cannondale Super 6, the old one, not the current one, but the one before, not the current one, the one before, like the one that Sagan used to ride for Cannondale Liquid Gas. I've been searching for that bike again, and it's the Aethos. However, what's that got to do with a gravel bike? Well, it's got lots to do with a gravel bike because I've just sold this. Well, I've not sold it, I'm selling this to get the crux. At the end of the day, a simple, externally routed, threaded bottom bracket, thin, you know, just thin tubes, round tubes, nothing's proprietary, you can change things, you can get it light, because this is a chunk of carbon. I mean, this is thicker than my specialised epic hardtail, and it's slower, it's way slower, unless you hit the tarmac or unless you hit smooth gravel. But the minute you hit bumpy gravel or you hit a hill, it's just sluggish, but it looks beautiful. The other thing about it, I mean, this is a new bike, chain drop, just the chain drops. The beautiful thing about using a titanium bike when the chain drops is this titanium, it doesn't scratch. But when I had a giant TCX I never had that problem, but this, the chain dropped and it just tore it apart because it's just a big chunk of carbon. I'm hoping that doesn't happen with it, which is a bit my fault really, because you know, I didn't adjust the front derailleur properly. I'd probably running a GRX chain set with an Ultegra derailleur didn't help. But yeah, it is a nice bike. It's nobody really is odd, but it is. All this square stuff isn't for me. I don't like the modern bikes, I'm afraid. I don't like, you know, if we look at I've came to the realisation, I don't like this. I mean, it's massive, it's massive, absolutely massive stem, and then the massive, you know, top tube. and then this massive bit of carbon. I mean, that's, you'd fit 2 Aethos down tubes into that, and it's a chunk. I'd imagine if you're a rider with tons of power and racing, and you know you like to get down, then I imagine you like it. The other thing as well is you're properly underbiked with this. This is good, let's say tarmac to gravel, nice smooth gravel. But I don't live, I don't live in America. I mean, this is Scotland when the gravel's your 20% climbs up and down, and then you're lots of single tracks. I just didn't. I mean, I'm not the worst bike handler in the world, but I just found completely underbiked with this, and just because of how aggressive it is, yeah, just completely underbiked. So going along the single tracks wasn't as much fun as my Riley gradient was, and checking the geometry on the crux, it just doesn't look as much fun. And I think a gravel bike should warrant, for me, should be enough of a difference from a hardtail, or better in some instances than a hardtail mountain bike. And this isn't, for me it isn't. For the terrain I ride, my hardtail mountain bike performs better on the steep gravel, and it performs better on the single track, obviously. But when I had my titanium, which is the more traditional Riley gradient, more traditional frame shape, a little bit less aggressive, there was an enjoyable experience. You know, the mountain bike was better in some areas, but that was definitely better than others. I just found this underwhelming, if I'm honest. I genuinely found it underwhelming. And I think a part of it is, for me, is I'm not whacking out massive watts, but a massive part of it for me is I like the bike to look good. I like to jump on it, and I want it to ride, and it just isn't my cup of tea. It isn't my cup of tea, and that's it. That's the reason. Say it's a super comfy bike, super aggressive. It'll be fast in the right set of legs, just not mine. It's too modern for me, if that makes sense to anybody. Just too modern. And I think really the downfall of it was the Aethos. When I got the Aethos, which is a love or hate it bike, and a lot of folk won't get it who are into real modern bikes, but the Aethos is just a stunning bike to ride. It's a bike that just anybody I know that owns one or has ridden one just absolutely loves it, and it's just going back to the way bikes used to be. And I think that's why the Crux, which is a phenomenal selling bike, is, I don't know anybody that regrets getting a Crux and says it's kind of slow, and I think it's such a difference. I mean, my hardtail mountain weighs 10 kilo. This thing weighs 9.5. I mean, if I put gravel tyres on the mountain bike, it would destroy this all over. So I don't see the point of it for me. So there you go. It's getting sold, and here comes the Crux. But this is for somebody, for lots of people. It's just not me, mate. Just not me.